Are you a creative who's wondering whether you're ready to take the leap, or questioning whether your work is really good enough to be seen? This week, I'm joined by Amber Lucas, founder of Kaluna and Time, a show-it website design studio created exclusively for the wedding industry. After years of working behind the scenes in weddings, Amber recognised a pattern. Talented creatives were being held back by websites that simply didn't reflect the quality of their work. Instead of accepting the status quo, she built a business helping wedding professionals tell their stories online with confidence. In our conversation today, Amber shares her journey from working within the wedding industry to creating a business that gives her the freedom to support her family while doing work she genuinely loves. We talk about pushing through fear, embracing the uncomfortable moments that lead to growth, and why storytelling is one of the most powerful ways to stand out in a crowded creative industry. We also touch upon creating digital products, building passive income streams, developing routines that balance business with family life, and learning to confidently share your own story so the right clients can find you. This episode is packed with insights and practical encouragement to help you find your own path. Right, let's get to the episode. So the card that's come up for you today is, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
Okay, I like that.
How does that card sort of speak to you today, where you are with your business and the experience that you've had in setting that business up and it being such a success?
I think it's quite relevant actually, because I'm trying to do new things that do challenge me, and I think it's so easy to just sit and to stay in your comfort zone and just, kind of hide behind a post on Instagram or hide behind your website. And if anybody were to scroll back on my Instagram, you would just see like beige with black text on all of my posts. And I think that was me kind of hiding a bit almost. Whereas now I've had like a brand shoot done. I now record reels and videos and talking videos. And I never would have expected that I would do that. So I think and then it's kind of, it does challenge you because you're trying to do something new. And, you're learning how to speak. Like it's not that easy to just speak to a camera and just do it well the first time. And yeah, I've definitely been learning how to do it better. But then also what comes from that is then hopefully more connections with people, more clients. And, it has to challenge you to change you, like that card says.
Absolutely. And you've spent a long time sort of working in the wedding industry, haven't you, before launching? Is it Kaluna?
Yep.
Kaluna and Time. What
Yep.
a beautiful name. Can you talk to me a little bit about the name?
Yeah. So I worked in the wedding industry for 14 years, and I would always do kind of side hustles, if you would call it that. And I started off writing a blog about natural and organic skincare. And that was, at first it was called Amber's Beauty Talk. And then I kind of become a bit obsessed with bees. So then I changed it to This Natural Bee. And then I started, because of like the bee kind of theme, I then opened a bee themed gift shop. Like it was online.
Wow.
And I would sell kind of like candles, and my sister designed me like these bee prints, and it had like little honeycomb on it and flowers and bees. And it was really cute. And I would have them printed onto notebooks and like weekly planners and pads and that kind of thing. And that was called Nectar and Bumble, because it's obviously like the nectar from the flowers and then bumblebees.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of developed from that, where it's kind of like something and something. But I'd run the bee themed gift shop for quite a few years, probably about 6 years. And then I had my daughter in 2021, and I was packing orders one night. It was about 9:00 at night. She'd only gone to sleep at 8. And I was just thinking, I can't do this. Like, I've worked the day job as well and looked after her, put her to bed. And then I was packing orders as well, trying to kind of keep that going. But I felt like I couldn't really scale it too much because I still had the day job. So it was kind of that middle ground where I was doing enough and it was good, and I really loved doing it, but I felt like I couldn't grow too much, because then I'd kind of be stuck and not be able to manage both. So I kind of ended up winding that down. Um, but I didn't want to just get rid of everything and not have it. And had been selling on Etsy, like the notebooks and things. So I still had the Etsy shop open, and I thought, well, what could I do with it? And it was my daughter's first birthday, and I was looking on Canva for a template for her birthday invitation. And so I was designing on Canva. She wanted a Peter Rabbit themed party, so I was designing her invitation on there. But I'd also happened to look on Etsy, and I saw all of these people were selling digital invitations, and you could put them into like a program, so then people could go on, edit it themselves, and then they'd have like this redesigned invitation, then they could download it and print it however they wanted to do it. And I thought, oh, that would be quite cool, like if I could do that. And I'd always used Canva in the business anyway, so I was quite familiar with Canva. So I basically started using the kind of bee-themed prints and turned them into invitations and kind of like bunting. It was all digital. So with Etsy, you can list it as a digital product, and then you kind of upload a PDF with the link onto Canva, and then Etsy just sends that to them automatically. So I was like,
Okay.
oh, this is good, because then I'm not having to, manually send it every time. So I've still got the money coming in, and I've still got, the products and everything, but it's all digital. So I don't have to be packing orders at 9 o'clock at night. So I was like, this is great. However, it was very niche, very, very niche, because it was all bee themed. And then I joined a group actually on Facebook, and it was like how to sell on Etsy, how to sell digital products on Etsy. And it was run by a lady called Jessa Bellman, and she still does it. And she's incredible. She's got about 18 Etsy stores, all digital. And I learned a lot from her. And I would kind of sit there sometimes at work and just be on the calls and then doing a little bit, because if it wasn't very busy, it was fine.
I won't tell anyone, don't worry.
Probably shouldn't have said that on a podcast, but no, it's fine. But yeah, I learned a lot from her. And then I ended up, I would do some sort of like random trending products. So one was like a FIFA World Cup sweepstake kit for the last World Cup. It was just so random, but I made about £600 from it. I didn't put their logo on it. I just called it the World Cup sweepstake kit. But it was just in 1 month, like right before the World Cup. Obviously, people do sweepstakes in their offices and at work and stuff. So I was like, well, this is cool. Like, I need to try and find like all of these products. So I did maybe with a couple of other things, and they went okay. And then I thought, but it would be good if it was kind of more evergreen, rather than just having, every other month was having this kind of trending product and then it died down again. So I thought I'll open a business shop. And I don't really know where the name came from. I think I just really liked, like Farrow and Ball, and their kind of like the names for their paints and that kind of feeling and that sort of vibe. And so I was kind of looking online, and I came across the word Kaluna, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. And I was like, okay, well, if I did it sort of like Nectar and Bumble, but Kaluna and what? So Kaluna is actually a flower. So I thought, okay, Kaluna and then I thought Kaluna and Sage, no, Kaluna. And I was like, oh, Kaluna and Thyme. Well, that sounds nice. So that's kind of how it came about. But I've always sort of said it's kind of, obviously flowers grow, and it's kind of me helping you grow your business through the templates and that kind of side of it. So yeah, that's where it came from.
So beautiful.
It's a bit long-winded there, sorry, but
no,
thank you.
It's absolutely right. It's lovely listening to you, because what I'm getting a sense of is this drive, this ambition, this entrepreneurial spirit that has been sort of like, I don't know, galvanized as you kind of go through the process of trying something, it working a little bit, but then you tweaking it and refining it and editing. And, I find the messy middle, you were saying you're in between who you are and who you want to become, or what you're trying to create. I find that so fascinating and beautiful as well, because it's in between those moments that you discover so much about yourself, don't you? And those moments often arrive when you are not ready. I mean, what did that sort of season look like for you, as you started then to develop the business? Like, how did that start to take fruition?
Yeah, I think it is always, a lot of the time when people have kind of like these side hustles or like an additional job, you usually do also have a full-time job or a part-time job, or even kids, and you're trying to kind of juggle everything, and it can be really messy. And for me, it looked like working at 9 o'clock at night, even though I was just on my laptop rather than having to pack orders. But I could kind of choose whether I did that or not. Whereas with Nectar and Bumble, I had to pack the orders because I had to get them out to the customers. And, you're trying to compete with Amazon, where they send out and it arrives next day. And that's kind of what people came to expect. So I felt like I had to pack those orders that night or the next day to get them to them as quick as possible. if I was busy and I'd left it 3 days, people would be emailing me and be like, "Is my order coming?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's coming." "I'm not Amazon, give me a chance." So it was nice that I could kind of choose whether I wanted to work or not. Um, and I was still getting orders in the background, so I didn't have to work in order to make money. There were still orders coming in. So kind of call it like half passive, because I'd done the work up front to then get the money in. So it wasn't completely passive. And even now I still have my Etsy shop live, but if I don't update it, if I don't add listings, the sales go down. So Etsy likes it if you keep, you're active on it and you're actively posting. I mean, this week was great. I made, well, yesterday was about 50 something pounds in sales, but last week I made, like, the money that came actually into my bank account was about £4.40 or something. So it's such a difference. And I don't know what's happened this week. I don't know if I've been shared somewhere or something and people have just, but like, it comes up on my phone, like the favorites.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's nice to see like the favorites in the sales. And yeah, and then I just send like a little thank you message to every single person that orders. You can kind of preset it in there. So I send a little thank you, little link to my lead magnet. And yeah, it's been nice, because then it's almost like a marketing tool for me as well, because it gets the people in from Etsy and then they can come over and see me on Instagram or my website. So yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, the middle ground where you're kind of stuck in one place but then also trying to do another thing, it's really messy.
It is really messy and chaotic, and it's trying to work around those interruptions. I mean, for those people who are listening who are potentially already in that place, that messy middle, did you find certain things work? Like some guests that I've spoken to have said that having a routine for the morning really helped them, like going to the gym or doing some yoga, meditation, some journaling, watching a bit of daytime TV. Like, did you have to create your own routines so that you felt, I don't know, maybe just safe in that moment?
Yeah, I think because I had my daughter in 2021 and then I had my son in 2023. So nap times were like my time, because I was just like, the longer they napped, the better. Because I was like, great, I can get a bit of work done. And I remember even when I think it was my son, when he was born, obviously I'd already had my daughter. So like, you're kind of familiar with motherhood and the juggle of everything. And like, I think he had like a 3-hour nap one day and I was like, great, like I can do so much of this in my, and I loved it because he was getting a nice sleep. I could have a nice warm cup of tea and do some work. And I loved it. And it's kind of like my creative outlet as well, even though it's business and it's still designing it. So whether it was designing templates or then going into designing websites, it was like that creative, like, time for me. And I loved it. So nap times were like my favorite time. And yeah, it's just that nice kind of quiet time for myself. I love my kids, but I need my own time. And I think having that nap time or time whether maybe they've gone out with my husband and they go to the park, or so there's little pockets of time that you can get that I really like, because you just have a little bit of me time. I'm still my own person. Even though I'm a mum, I'm still me as well, and I still need my creative time. And I think that makes me a better mum.
Absolutely. And, thank you for saying that, because I think sometimes as parents, we feel guilty for saying that, don't we? But, of course we love our children, but it is important to have that time. And were you always creative growing up? Have you always loved sort of graphic design and drawing and illustration, all of that sort of stuff? Or is that something you've come to later on?
Yeah, later on. I loved kind of English. I loved writing. Like, when I was younger, I thought I was going to be an author. And that kind of probably just come out a bit in like blog writing. So when I had my blog, it was before AI. So I literally wrote everything from scratch. And, I still do mostly now. But yeah, I couldn't really draw, still can't draw. But I could look at something and see whether it looked good or not. And I remember like designing posters in school. Like, we had to, like, a task to like design a poster for like a charity or something like that. And I think I won like the best one, and it was all like digital on Word, like, back then. And I was just like, I knew what looked good and what didn't, and where to put it and how big things should be, and that kind of thing. So rather than like actually drawing or painting and that kind of side of it, I knew design on like digitally. And that was when I was probably like in year 6 or 7. So yeah.
I think you have an eye for it, don't you? And then that obviously has become part of your business, because you are now supporting wedding planners to design their own websites. And I love this because the three I wrote down when I was kind of looking through your website, which is beautiful anyway, can I just
No,
say.
thank you.
But you identified these three key elements for a wedding business, and the first one is emotion and this idea of storytelling. Now, as a drama teacher, I'm all about the story. As a podcast host, I'm all about the story. So can you talk to me about those three elements? You've got emotion, showcasing your work, and then a website that books, because you found that a website can look absolutely glorious, but if it's not getting you those bookings, it's useless, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not really doing its job. So yeah, it can look the prettiest and still not get clients coming in and actually sending an inquiry. So I think the storytelling part is really important, because that's where I think a lot of people don't think that they're actually different to anybody else. And, you might have the similar service, like, a wedding stylist might have similar, like glassware or cutlery or style. And so like a cake maker, like they're making cakes, but obviously they're all different. So even though, say they might do a 3-tier cake and they might also do a 3-tier cake, they're going to be different because they're going to be different flavors. It's going to taste different. It's going to look slightly different. A wedding stylist might have, a different way of putting things together and a different, stance on something. And I think people don't often realize that what makes their business different is them and, the person running it. And they need to bring in storytelling and the emotion behind it, because weddings are really emotional, right? They're like one of probably the most emotional days of a couple's life so far. And that's where wedding businesses need to kind of tell their story, but in a way that it kind of reflects on what that means for the couple. So rather than just, I think a lot of businesses, they start off with kind of about them and they say, oh, I went to university and I've been working for this year. But what does that actually mean for the couple? They're looking at 10 different wedding businesses, say, for example, in one category. So they might be looking at 5 or 10 cake makers. And, if your website is all about you and not how you can help your couples because of what you've learned and because of your experience, it doesn't kind of click with them. It doesn't resonate with them because they just kind of read it as you're kind of just talking all about you, whereas it's all about the couple.
I was wondering how creating your business and developing your services, how that has potentially changed your perspective on your story and how you share your story with the world.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think I'm probably guilty of it as well, of not sharing why I'm different. But I think having the 14 years experience in the wedding industry does make me different, because I've lived it. Like I've worked in a cake shop, so I delivered wedding cakes. I had wedding cake consultations with couples. I've been to wedding fairs. I've done the job, and if you don't work in the wedding industry, it's hard to explain what it's like to work in the wedding industry, because it's kind of like you're so busy through the summer months, usually come kind of from April through to September is kind of like the peak. And then it's kind of like you're almost like catching up for the rest of the year. And you kind of have to, but then also it's like juggling the finance as well, because you get kind of like, you'd get deposits for the rest of the year, but then you get kind of like the final payments through the summer. So then you're kind of juggling that as well, and your time. And, it's really difficult. It's a really difficult industry to be in. And I think because I've lived it and because I've been in it for so long, I can resonate with the wedding businesses that I work with, and I know what they're going through and I know what it's like. So that does make me different. So I think I probably do just say I've got 14 years in wedding industry experience, but I probably need to explain myself. Like, I think a lot of the time we tell people what to do and we don't often do it ourselves. So yes, it's probably my sign to actually tell people why that matters.
But why weddings? Why was it the wedding industry for you?
So it was actually a family business. So it was my family's. Yeah.
See,
So
there's the story.
yeah, that's true. So my grandma actually has a villa out in Spain, and she's had it for years and years and years. And my it was like quite derelict, and my granddad did it all up. So I love going there because my granddad's not here anymore. So I love going there to kind of connect with him. And I did start learning some Spanish while I was out there. So then I kind of did GCSE Spanish and then A levels. And then I was kind of like got to the point where you decide whether you go to uni or not. And I was kind of like, I don't really want to go to uni and spend like $3,000 a year, it was back then, you know, to go and learn Spanish. And didn't really want to go live in Spain. So my mum was kind of like, oh, come to work in the business. And then we opened another shop. So I ran a whole shop, and would do that. So yeah, that's why it was another big decision as well, leaving in November. But I'm glad I did. But it was difficult. But yeah, it just felt like the right time for me to go and grow this business that I'd been growing kind of in the evenings and on the weekends and stuff.
Yeah, because it's
So, yeah.
something for you, isn't it? It's yours. I think it's interesting, isn't it? I think as creatives, we sometimes struggle to communicate to other people what our story is and value our worth. Because we're so bogged down sometimes with our limited beliefs, with our this idea of what perfection looks like, and having the confidence as well. But that the story that it's a family business and the story of the villa being done up by your granddad is lovely. Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
we're actually going next week as well, so I'm
Are
excited.
you? Oh,
Yeah.
that's really nice. It's lovely to take the kids away, isn't it? And
Yeah.
well, the heat wave at the moment. You may as well stay in this country.
Too much.
It's so
I know
hot.
it's probably going to be. I've not actually looked at what the weather's going to be like, but I bet it's going to be raining all week, and I'll be like, "Oh, wrong time to go." But no, it's fine. No, it's really nice because we went there when we were young, and now like I'm taking my kids, and sometimes my husband's parents come with us as well. So it's really nice. It's a really lovely place to go. And yeah, I've been kind of trying to practice my Spanish, but it's a bit I probably should have been practicing for the whole year, but no, it kind of, it's like muscle memory. It kind of comes back to you, but I can speak it okay, but I can't really understand what people say back to me. So I kind of just go, do you speak English? So I'm going to try for the next week. I'm going to try and practice a bit more.
I mean, I'm in awe of anyone who can learn a different language. It's such a beautiful skill to have. And it's very creative as well. How do you then support your clients? Can you talk through the process? And obviously, for those people who are listening, we are going to drop a link to all of the websites, certainly, and Amber's Instagram and LinkedIn, so you can go and check out her work, her website. If you've got a wedding coming up, get in touch. But how do you kind of work with them? What's the process, that creative process?
Yeah, so I have a few different ways that I work with wedding businesses. So the first thing, and that kind of how I went from Canva templates through to website templates, that was kind of like my first dip into the website side of it. So I'd built my website from when I had my bee themed business. I would work on the website in the family business, and so I've always known like how it works in the background. But when I was looking for kind of like some ideas for Canva templates, I was doing some research and I came across a Showit website template. So Showit is a platform in America, kind of how you've got like Wix and Squarespace, that kind of platform. But it's completely drag and drop. So you're not kind of stuck by like boxes, and you can change all the text how you want it. You can change the sizes. So kind of like Wix has like blocks, and then it kind of transfers straight over to mobile as that block, and you can't really change it too much. And Squarespace, I think if it's a specific kind of heading tag, you can't change what size or the color and that kind of thing. Whereas with Showit, you can change everything completely. So it's got a lot of creative freedom, which is why I was drawn to it, because you can pretty much create anything that you want to, really. So it works really well. They actually started off for wedding photographers. So then that was kind of another thing that I was drawn to, because I was like, okay, well, if they started it for photographers, and then now, you can use it as a service-based business. I use it for my business. You've got coaches, probably accountants, wedding planners, florists, like all different types of businesses can use it, because it's just got such amazing creative freedom on there. And you don't have to know how to code either. You can just drag and drop. Say you want a line, say you want a box, you can just click on the button and you can move it, you can resize it, you can change the color, you can have things overlapping. And mobile is completely separate from desktop, so you can completely change how mobile looks to how desktop looks. So obviously it doesn't always transfer over that well to mobile, whereas with Showit you can literally design it however you want to. So if on desktop you might have the photo on the right, and then maybe like text at the top and then a paragraph, but on mobile you might want the text and then the paragraph and then the photo underneath it. You can do it however you want to. So it's really good for mobile optimization, because obviously a lot of people are now using their mobiles. I think it's about 80% use their mobiles when they're looking. And, couples are going to be literally sitting on the sofa scrolling together and, finding the supplier. So it's really important that the mobile is optimized as best as it can be.
And you work with somebody as well to do all of this, don't you? Have you got, is it Jenny?
Yeah. So the website. So with Show It, I've designed full website templates. So that was kind of like my first service, and you would buy the template, plug it into your Show It account. Just really easy with a little bit of few little random letters and numbers as like a little share key, and then it basically brings up the whole website in your account, and then they can literally go in and change the font and the colors, and then just go through, double click to swap an image, double click to swap the text, and just plug everything in exactly as they want it. So they've already got the foundation there of a fully designed strategic website, and then they just plug in their information and then they can launch it in a week or two. So it's a really easy way for them to get a website up fast, and it's already built with the strategy that kind of I've learned from the 14 years of working in the wedding industry. But then when I was doing that, I then had people kind of asking me if I could customize it for them. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I was still working in the business. I thought, oh, I don't know if I've got time for that. And then it was actually a wedding planner in Pennsylvania, and she got in touch with me and she was like, oh, I just don't know if I've got the time. I was like, okay, well, can I do it for you? And like, I won't charge you anymore. Like, just as a kind of like a test run, I'll just charge you like the price of the template just to see if I like it, see, how you like, how it works. And, she's like, yeah, that would be amazing. Like, I literally don't have any time. So I was like, great. So I did that and I loved it. And I was like, oh, this is like, I love this. Like, it's easy to do, but then also kind of learning how to tweak it for their business as well, like put in my strategy with kind of what they want in it as well. So that's then called template customization. So you can either buy the template and do it yourself, or I can customize it for you. I can also customize other people's templates as well. So I've done one for a florist. She'd actually bought a template, had started tweaking it, and then got a bit stuck. And she was like, oh, I've got wedding season coming up in like 1 month. I just haven't got time. I can't do this. I'm stuck on this. So she just handed it over to me. I tweaked all what I needed to tweak, and then she had it ready to launch by wedding season. So then she can focus on wedding season and know that it's ready and launched for when couples inquire. So that's really fun. And it's nice to work with other templates as well, because you kind of see how they're all set up and it's a bit different to your style, but still kind of put in your take on it. And yeah, it's really nice. It's really cool. So it's also a good way of getting, I call it like a semi custom website, because it's not fully custom because obviously it's not been built from scratch, but often people wouldn't know if they went on that website that it started from a template. And it, once you've plugged in your colors, your fonts, your copy, all of your images, it looks completely different to somebody else's. So it's a really good way, without the price tag of a custom website, doing it this way. And I've got 4 different templates, and all of them have different kind of styles and vibes to them. So I've done a customization for 3 of them out of 4, and it's really fun to like do the different styles and the different businesses.
Yeah. It sounds really creative.
Yeah, and I love it because I don't also just put the information in exactly as the template is. Like, I'll tweak it. So say for like the wedding planner, on the template that I've got, it's called Laurel, and it's quite like a classic kind of timeless vibe, but it had kind of like little pictures at the top and like little squares around them. But she just wanted that one big picture. So like, okay, we'll change it to one big picture. That's fine. And then I worked with the Orchard at Munsley, which is a TP wedding venue. And they had a really cool like drone shot kind of coming away from the teepees out to show the land, because it's on a apple orchard. So it's beautiful. It's like got a little got a pond, and you can have like a smaller teepee set up for people to like chill in in the afternoon. The kind of 3-hat teepee, and then the apple orchard, which you can go for photos and everything. And so it's kind of like this amazing drone shot coming out. So we just took all the photos off and just had that like big video at the top, just showing, this is this amazing venue and this is where it's set. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You've not got, busy things all around. It's, on this set on this beautiful apple orchard. And so it's nice to tweak it, not only based on what they want, but also what's going to showcase their venue or their service the best.
Well, it sounds so much fun. And
Yeah.
especially for, business owners who are potentially just starting out, to have somebody like you to take away that pressure, to act as a soundboard, I think, as well, to talk through those ideas. It is so helpful. And I was wondering, if you look back to the version of you when you were just starting out, and some of maybe the fears, the doubts that you had, to where you are now, what would you say to her? What would you say to Amber?
I would say, don't worry. Everything is going to work out how it's supposed to be, and just, kind of go with it. Like, go with what's happening, how you're feeling, and don't let, like, your fear of what might happen stop you from doing it. I think I was probably worried, number one, about leaving the business. Number two, when I started, like, just selling the templates, I never would have dreamed that I'd now be doing like full websites for people. But it's just nice to see what I've done. And even like when you said about Jenny, so I not only do the websites, but Jenny then can do the copy as well. So we have a package together where she does the copy and the SEO. And it's like, I've done workshops for people. I've been on podcasts. I've, got a speaking gig next year. I've sponsored, events. And I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, I never would have dreamed that this would be happening when I was just selling like £3 Canva templates on Etsy. So yeah, it's amazing to kind of look back and see where I started and see where I am now. And I only want to grow. Like, I only want to do better and do bigger things. And I want to be known as the website designer for wedding businesses. Like, that's what I want to be known as. And yeah, I want to do speaking, and I want to, be on podcasts and do workshops and masterclasses. And yeah, like, that's my dream of what I want to do. And you kind of look at it and see, like, well, that's where I started and this is where I am now. So like, where can I go in the future? I'll probably look in the future and look back at me here now and be like, well, okay, yeah, you've done all of these things and maybe even more. So yeah.
And I think something that really strikes me about you is that you manifest all of these things. Like, you are working hard, Amber, to
Yeah.
get where you want to be. You have big dreams, and you're not going to let anything get in your way. You're gonna just kind of take every step that you need, in order to take this road less traveled. And I think when I speak to people like you on the podcast, I always come away feeling so inspired, genuinely, because we all reach certain points in our lives, don't we, where we feel like we've outgrown where we currently are. If there's anything that you could maybe say to our listeners who are worried about taking that road less traveled, like, are there sort of any practical things that you could say? Like, are there any books that have really helped you? Are there any podcasts that you've listened to? Are there any articles that you've read? Are there, any conversations that you've had that you feel have really supported you in moving forward in the business?
Yeah, I think I was really worried about leaving the business, especially because I've been in it so long. And I think you kind of look at the negatives of, like, well, what's going to happen if I don't make money? What's going to happen if I don't get clients? But actually, what's going to happen if you do? And what's going to happen if you do get these speaking gigs and you do get these podcasts and you do all of these things? And I've not actually read many books, I'll be honest. I kind of start them and then don't. With 2 kids, it's a bit tricky. But I do love a podcast. I don't get to listen to them too much now because when I'm working, I can't really listen to both. I tend to have, like, like the sound. It's like, I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but I have ADHD traits. But on Spotify, you can find like ADHD sound something, and it's like like the waves kind of thing, like that. And so I'll just put my headphones on and just have that on, and I just will be like in the zone for like 2 hours, 3 hours, just working. And I find that really works for me. But I do have a coach. So my coach is Anita Seek, and she's in Australia. And so our coaching calls are like the middle of the night for me, but I sometimes get up for them. But that's really helped me just to kind of, you said about like manifesting. And last week we did our kind of Q3 planning. and just having like that hour and a half to myself to just look at what I want to achieve and how I'm going to get there is really important and really helpful, I think, because you can kind of write down where you want to be in a year's time, but then not work out what the steps need to be in order for you to get there. And that's really helpful. So I would say if you're kind of stuck thinking, what am I going to do next? What do I want to do? Or should I leave my job or should I do this? I'd write it down and write, where would you be in a year's time? Where do you want to be in a year's time? And, what are some small steps that you can do, maybe just once a month or, once a quarter or however, whatever you need to do to actually get there. And I think that's helped me a lot because before I started working with her and whilst I was still in my job, I would kind of flick between lots of different things and, I'd start on something without finishing it. Whereas now I have a goal and I know where I want to be and I know what I need to do to get there. And it just helps me stay on track. And that's really helpful.
I will put all of the links in the show notes. So people will be able to head to your website. They will also be able to go to your Instagram and your LinkedIn. And I guess watch this space, really. Because who knows what's going to be around the corner.
See what I do next. I'll probably be doing podcasts in Spanish soon. No, I'm joking.